All right, guys, welcome into another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. I am Cole Godfrey. I am joined, as always, by Level Up Luke.
Hey,
Luke,
hey.
how you feeling? How you feeling tonight, man?
Feeling pretty good, man. You can find us on Twitter/X at QCSPod, Instagram at QCSPod_, and YouTube at QCSPod.
Yeah, and Luke also has made a TikTok for us. Luke.
That is also at QCSPod. I know that New England game was tough, and we are going to be talking about our analysis and our feelings about it, but at the end of the day, I think we're still in such a better position than we have been in previous seasons, this many games into the year. So I think the perspective is important. Just looking at how far we've come, knowing that last year we made that playoff push and we got to the play-in game, and we already have so many more points at a much earlier stage in the season. And it looks like our team is finally coming together. This is the first game where Dean actually had some selection choices. So I'm still feeling pretty positive, I think.
I mean, it's one of those things, right? Yes, we're sitting in a good. I mean, we're still in a playoff position as of right now. And this time last year, we're still. Here's what I think it is. I think Dean has just brought an overall better culture to this team and to this fan base, to where we expect, we expect good things to happen. And when something like this, like losing to New England, who was bottom of the table, happens, it's jump out the window time. It's hit the panic button time for a lot of the fan base.
Yeah, and we're a very reactionary fan base. I think it's important to realize that all the teams in MLS struggle at winning on the road. It's not a Charlotte FC thing. It's just the fact that there is such a home field advantage. It's a lot of travel between the venues. If we had come away from this game with a win or a point, it would have been huge. But the odds going into this game had New England favored to win, and we thought they were crazy, that we were going to blow the doors off the stadium.
Charlotte FC obviously falling on the road up in snowy, rainy New England. 1-0. Carlos Hill strikes at the end of the first half, and that's the only scoring of the match, which is the theme of this game, which is missed chances. We'll start with the lineup. Dino goes with Big Pat over Enzo up top, which I thought was interesting. Kerwin on the left, Brett in the middle. And that 10-roll, Leo Labata gets his first MLS start. Jarrell Gianni, Ashley Westwood beside each other, and then Yaronin Privet, Malanda, and then Jalen Lindsey getting his first start of the season. And obviously Christian Kalina in goal. What's your thoughts on the Pat versus Enzo thing real quick, man? Did you think Pat deserved this start? Do you think Pat deserves another start after his performance?
Yeah, I think that Dean has found some consistency. He's found some chemistry between that top three. And, we put Abada in, obviously, so that's a move you have to make. But I think between Big Pat's recent performance and Enzo still having his scoring troubles, I think that starting Pat's the right move, in my opinion. And going into next game, I would start Pat again.
Yeah, and that's been a big discussion on X or Twitter or whatever. But I tell you one thing, I tend to agree with you. Pat is getting in some really, really good positions. He's just not finishing. I'll tell you one thing I would like to see, though, is I would like to see Abada and Enzo on the field. When we've seen that against Cincinnati, we've seen some pretty good link-up play between the two, and we didn't get to see them on the field at the same time this game. Starting out this match, man, Charlotte come out of the gates in the first 10, 15 minutes just on full go. Obviously, there's the opportunity where Pat, gets the ball off the goalkeeper and is sitting there. It is a tough angle, but in reality, the open net, and he skies it. And that seems to be the theme so far this season, is just skying it.
Yeah, I think that's a problem across the board for a lot of our players. I was mostly disappointed with his early opportunity where he dispossessed the New England keeper and had a wide open net. And it wasn't that he skied it, it's that he missed the frame entirely. And it was kind of a tight angle, but you got to slot that home. That's a one touch. He could even bounce the ball to his right foot and found an outlet pass if he needed to. But even though it's a narrow window, you just got to tap the ball in. It's like you're playing FIFA on PS5 and you're doing those training drills where you got to pass the ball between a set of cones. That's all you got to do, Pat. Just tapped the ball between the cones, and it was just completely out of bounds. He missed the frame entirely. That hurts. It doesn't hurt as much, though, because he created that opportunity. He dispossessed the keeper to gain that possession, that open net. So he created the opportunity and he missed it. But like you said, when he's getting opportunities in the run of play, I think it's more of like a bad bounce situation where he can easily score, but the ball is just going like, half a stride behind him or at a weird angle, and he's not able to corral it and get a clean look in time. It's that thing where if the ball bounces slightly differently, it would be an absolute shot on goal. When you're talking about skying it over the net, though, that's where it's all about practice. It's all about finishing, being clinical, and we're missing that across the board right now with all of our attacking players.
It's definitely across the board. I mean, we've seen it with Kerwin, we've seen it with Enzo, we've seen it with Brecht. I don't know if it's a technical thing. I don't know if it's a mentality type thing. If it's the case of the yips, which we've been hearing, but regardless, you scored 6 goals in 7 games. It has you second to last in the MLS in goals scored so far this season. And with as improved as this defense is from last season to this season, you should be sitting much higher, in my opinion. I think that. I mean, this team has only given up 2 goals one time to Nashville, and that was it. I mean, have they given up more than 1 goal in a game other than that? I don't think that they have.
No, the defense has been solid.
Yeah, so if it's one of those things, is where, in this game, you don't. To me, you didn't have your probably, arguably your best defender on the pitch in Nathan Byrne, which we'll kind of get into. But to me, you have to put the ball in the back of the net. Our number 9 DP is not putting the ball in the back of the net when he's on the field. Yes, he's been hurt here recently, but when he's on the pitch, he hasn't been putting it in the back of the net. Pat has missed some opportunities. This game, he missed some opportunities. We all know we all know Kerwin's struggling, but it's just one of those things, man, where like we're not going to go into full detail on this timeline, but right before halftime, Yuri Uronen, he is in the attacking third. Is it a foul? Is it not a foul? I've seen, some people say it is, some people say it isn't. Regardless, the ball, it ends up with New England in a counterattack on a 3v4 or a 4v3, and Carlos Hill makes a good pass to his brother Nacho Hill, and it's saved. It bounces right back out to Carlos. He puts it away right before halftime, and it's a gut punch right before you go into half.
In the backfield with Uronen, do you think that was a foul?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think that it was. I think that it could have been called a foul, yes. I don't think that it was. It's one of those things, man, where this happens in soccer, where if you do have a fullback pushed up, he is attacking, opportunities like this are going to happen. And then that's when you're counting on your defensive midfielders to be there. Gianni, Ashley Westwood, you're counting on them to be there to kind of bail that person out, whoever it may be, if it's Uronen or Byrne or Lindsay or whoever it is. And it just didn't happen. And they got on that break, and it was one of those things, man, where it was a decent save by Kalina off the first ball by Nacho Hill, and it just falls right back to Carlos, and he puts it away. And it seems like this happens to Charlotte, and it has happened over the course of this franchise's history. Unfortunately, I don't know if they got the Charlotte City soccer or Charlotte City sports curse, where the ball's just not going to bounce your way. If you're going to win, you're going to have to earn that win. And one thing I would have liked to. There's a couple of things that I'm obviously I'm a Dino guy. I love Dino. There's 2 things that I disagree with Dino on in this game, and this is the first time I've said this all season. I feel like we should have had halftime subs in this game.
Yeah,
you went in 1-0 down right before the half. Patrick, I love him to death, but he was obviously in his head after that miss. You could just tell. It was the same thing as Kerwin when he missed that penalty in the first game against NYCFC. You could tell he was in his head, and so I would have liked to seen Enzo come on And honestly, I would like I said earlier, I would have loved to have seen Abada and Enzo on the pitch at the same time to see what that kind of link up play could have done. There, and again, we're not getting much service at all from our number 10 man. We've talked about this. We've hammered on this, but Brecht is just he has not had a good season thus far. And I hate to keep kicking a man when he's down. Definitely when he's a Charlotte FC player. Brecht on Foot Mob played a 6.3 this game, and it's just not good enough. His service is just not good enough, and specifically when you have Enzo on the pitch, who's going to be looking for that ball over the top or that ball in behind to be able to come on and put it away. It's just not good enough.
Yeah, man. Just not good enough. What do you do on the wings? Who do you start next game?
If it's me, obviously, next game, if it's me, if I'm the coach, it's one of those things where I don't want to sit pat after a game like he just had because it's like, oh man, what does that do to his psyche? But at the same time, I would like to see Enzo and Abada get some real meaningful minutes together. So if it's me, I'm going to have Enzo up top, Liel on the right, Yuri Tavares on the left. We've seen a little spark when Tavares comes in. When he came in, we've seen technical ability he has and the chance creation that he can do. I'm not saying that Kerwin can't because obviously he does, but Kerwin, I don't know what is going on right now with the guy. But again, I think that and honestly, I would like to see Scotty. I would like to see Scotty up at play the 10 before I would Brecht at this point in time. Brecht needs to see the bench for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brecht has been a little bit lackluster. He has not been doing what you need from a number 10 in this league. This is a 10-driven league. You need a cam who's going to be an opportunity creator. And Brecht has not been doing it for me, man. I think that we need to splurge on a DP and try something else here.
I agree. I mean, this isn't the Revolution team of the past, okay? This is a Revolution team that was sitting dead last. Before this game, they had a -7 goal differential. They could not give up goals. They were giving up goals like crazy. That's not including the Champions Cup. That's just MLS. Played a midweek game where they got absolutely destroyed by Club America, and then you're expecting New England to have tired legs. It just looked like Charlotte was second to every ball, and they had the tired legs.
Yeah, it seemed like New England, and once again, I mentioned it on the post-game spaces, the field conditions seemed abysmal. So I don't know how much stock I put in, ball movement in that game and some of the opportunities being slightly off. That looked like a waterlogged pitch. It's artificial turf that is a new turf, and apparently the field just was not draining throughout the game. So take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, it's pretty inexcusable that we didn't score at all in that game. We should have had at least 2 or 3 goals.
And in the 60th minute, Liel Abada comes off. First start in MLS. Any thoughts on Abada's first start?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was good. I thought there were flashes of brilliance. You can see why we signed him. He looks like one of the best quality players on the field for either side. I think he just needs more time. His position, especially being a winger, a lot of that is going to, his success is going to be determined by the chemistry he creates with the team around him. He's not the kind of guy who's going to be a solo act. He definitely needs some playmakers around him. And he can be a playmaker, he can be a finisher, but we really need a number 9 who can close the deal. We need a cam in the middle who can direct the flow of the game. And right now we just don't have it.
Yeah, we don't. And I'll say this, Abada had a good first half. That first 15 minutes, he had a good shot on goal that was parried away. Other than that, I mean, look, nobody on this team this game, this was the first time nobody absolutely stood out so far this season under Dino. Yeah, I think Abada, he was decent out there. His foot mob rating was like 6.8 or 6.4 or something like that. No, nothing crazy, but just to, people have to have patience. And like me and you were talking earlier, it's a very reactionary fan base. this is also a very impatient fan base.
Yeah.
So you got to have patience, not just with Abada, but with Dean as well. This is a new system. Abada just got here. He had his first full week of training with this team. You got to have some patience with him. I think the patience has run out on Enzo. If you go back and listen to our spaces, I think the overwhelming majority of people are kind of down on Enzo right now, and it's understandable. You know, expect your DP number 9 to have a goal at this point in the season, and he still sits goalless and had a good chance in the second half, man. A good ball, I think it was from Ashley Westwood on the free kick. He just jumps like 5 seconds too early. The ball just comes down, and if he times his jump right, it's an easy headed goal. And again, it's just another missed opportunity.
Yeah, I said it before, I'll say it again, man. Like, I understand that you can't have Pat play the full 90, that you got to put in your DP striker, but I found myself late in that game seeing these opportunities and thinking, call Pat. You know, those are the opportunities that he shines in, and Vargas is finally delivering them, but he's no longer on the pitch. And Enzo just, I don't know if that's not in his tool belt, or if the rainy, snowy conditions aren't good for an Argentinian, or, you know, what the deal is, but Enzo just isn't the guy who can deliver when the game's on the line. That's the sense that I'm getting. And it sucks, man. Like, we went back and forth about Karol Swiderski, shout out Jay Forrest, for, you know, tearing into me about not being able to pronounce things with a Polish accent. Absolute clown. But, yeah, I mean, whatever, dude. His number one priority is playing for Poland and the Polish national team. He didn't want to be in Charlotte. He didn't want to produce here. And he made that clear way before he ever said it publicly. He made it clear with his body language, with never being involved in the community, never going to fan events that weren't like mandated by the team. I mean, the dude just was going through the motions, and it was clear he just wanted to put up some numbers and get the hell out of here. And like, hey, fair enough, man. Like, if you are a talented striker, if you are an MLS level DP, fair enough. But he never put in the performance to back it up, in my opinion. 10 goals is average at best for a non-DP player, or striker. Like, that's not good enough, man. It's not good enough to have that bad of an attitude. You know, you got to put up or shut up. And I'm glad he's out of here, man.
Yeah, and I mean, with that being said, I mean, I guess realistically the same thing could be said about Enzo. Is you got to put up or shut up, and the time is now.
You know, I don't see Enzo. I think his mentality, I think he looks like he's collaborating with the rest of the team and playing, you know, better with others than he did last year. So with him, I don't think he's talking. I don't think he has a bad attitude like Karol had. So with Enzo, I don't think he needs to shut up. I think he just needs to get some confidence. He needs to finish, and he's the kind of guy, I said it last week, he has a big ego, okay? When he's producing, when he's scoring, and he has that confidence, that's when he's going to perform best. Right now, he might be stuck in his own head, and he's not even starting in these games. So for a guy with an ego like that, I mean, it's that kind of like self-defeating cycle. I don't know. I don't know what needs to happen, because when he's starting, he's not scoring, and then when he's coming off the bench, he's not scoring either. So once he starts scoring, I'm hoping it'll just, you know, build up and keep going. But, you know, we're talking in the spaces about, like, have you ever seen Enzo hit a goal from outside the box? Is he a guy who can just light the world on fire with a golazo? Or is he just going to be poaching and getting second chance opportunities in the box? Like, that's fine if that's your style of play, and it appears to be his. But we're not getting the ball into the box. There's nothing to poach right now. It's going out of bounds or getting skied over the net immediately. There's no ricochets or rebounds. So yeah. I don't know.
Another topic of conversation on this game was Jalen Lindsey. Jalen Lindsey, actually, like I said,
hell yeah,
on the spaces, he had a good game defensively. I mean, he played a 7.6. He was actually, on FootMob, he was the highest rated Charlotte FC player on the pitch. So when I put out that tweet, which now has everybody has lost their mind over. Like it's not that I'm saying that Jalen Lindsey is a bad right back. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this team missed Nathan Byrne offensively. We missed him in the attack and the overlapping runs that he provides, the balls that he provides when he is on these overlapping runs. I'm not saying Jalen Lindsey is a bad right back because he is not. I mean, he had a good game. Nathan has just been on a different level this season.
Yeah.
And that's just all it boils down to. Yeah, so, I mean, going to the second half, I mean, I'm looking at the momentum chart, my English right there. My momentum chart right here. And, Charlotte FC did not have momentum in this second half until the 80th minute when we really started trying to push to get that equalizer. And, it was a little too late, and you had a couple of chances. Like I said, Enzo had that chance that he just jumped too early on. But other than that, man, it just was a very subpar performance from the Crown, and echoed by Dean Smith in the post game press conference, which I will have to disagree with Dean. He said that we deserved to win this game, and I don't see it, bro. Like I don't think he did deserve to win this game. Now, did you have every chance to win this game? Yes. Did you? To me, were you? Obviously, you weren't betting favorites, but they're bottom of the league. They just come off of a midweek game. You were expected to win this game, but no, you didn't. And we regroup now. We come back home for 2 in a row, starting this Saturday with Toronto.
Yeah.
And
now, I mean, hey, let me take the chance. I'm a big Dean fan. I think we all are. I think he's the best thing that has happened to this franchise, period. From a signing point of view, I think him as the gaffer is our number one best signing as a franchise. So when I say this, just know it's from a place of love. He needs to stop it with the "we deserve to win" in the post-game press conference. You cannot say we deserve to win every time we lose and tie. Like, yeah, I get it, Dean. I understand where you're coming from, but it's getting a little old at this point. We need to see more actual wins, not should have been wins. And, talk is cheap. We need to finish. We need to score. We need to earn these points. And right now, we're doing okay. We're doing better than we've done previously. But I'm frustrated because I see the potential. I know we can do better. I know that if we can unlock that last puzzle piece of finishing, we will get wins instead of losses, wins instead of draws. So I need Dean to lighten up a little bit on the "we deserve to win" every single game in the post-game press conference. That's not doing a lot for me at this point.
Oh, I'm with you. I agree with you on everything you just said. But with that being said, Charlotte fall 1-0. If you had to choose, who would get your Crown of the Day award?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think Jalen stepped up big time, so I could see an argument for that. I think Abada had a quality start, but I'm gonna stick with my guns, man. I need to rewatch the game, but watching live, I thought that our back line was just an absolute game breaker for New England. I thought they were giving the Revs fits throughout the game, throughout the field, in the attacking third, in the midfield, in the defensive third. And I saw a lot from Yuri Uronen, or Jerry Uronen, or honestly, I need to figure out how to actually say that because Gaffer says it a different way every press conference too. So, Jerry, but Uronen was incredible in my opinion. Watching it live, I didn't have a drink that entire game, man. I was analyzing the game as I was watching it the first time, and every time Uronen touched it, he was disruptive. He was, dispossessing the ball. He had some ridiculous sequences. I understand that some of the free kicks and the corners were off, but man, like, you try playing in a giant mud puddle and see how well you do. I'm not taking that for a whole lot of value. So I'm gonna give my crown to Uronen, and honorable mention to Kalina, because that's a tough game for a goalkeeper, and he really got hung out to dry on that one goal that New England scored. That's not on him in my book.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ashley Westwood. Ashley Westwood had three chances
Totally.
created from passes. He was I mean he was all over the pitch. He had three duels won. He was I like Ashley Westwood. I want to get your thoughts on this. I heard it discussed, and what do you think about Ashley Westwood playing the 10?
No. I
No?
think Ashley Westwood 4 years ago, I could absolutely see it. I think he just doesn't have the pace of play right now at his age and experience level. I like him where he's at. In a pinch, I mean, of course, for like a game or part of a game as a stopgap, of course, I'm sure he can do it. I'm not doubting his skill. I just think for a full 90, and he's a full 90 kind of guy. I think that's a lot to ask of the skipper.
I guess where I'm coming from, I guess more or less is, you think he would be a better number 10 than Brecht has been so far this season, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
I don't know, man.
yeah,
Brecht flexes out, and he really flexes to the wings. A lot of times, you can tell he's comfortable on the outside. He can cross back into the box. He has a pretty versatile skill set, and he does a lot of things right in the game, but he's so visible when he does something wrong. And I feel like Westwood is really thriving in that position where he's invisible. He does a lot of things right, and he does a lot of good things, but you don't necessarily see them or focus on them. Tell me more though. Like, what am I missing with the idea of Westwood as the 10?
I'm sitting here looking at it. Brecht Diagre, or however the hell you want to say his last name.
Diagre.
Yeah. He had 8 duels lost. He was 42% on at his duels. He committed 1 foul. He had 1 out of 4 successful dribbles.
It was a tactical foul, but that was an aggressive foul. I mean, I don't know if that was necessary.
So he was 25% on successful dribbles, which is not what you want out of your number 10 at all.
Once again, waterlogged pitch. I would take a lot of this with a grain of salt. Or is that season?
Yeah, no, this is just this game.
Okay.
I do agree with you. I mean, the field, you could see literal puddles on the field. So don't give me. I understand where you're coming from.
He tried to kick the ball once. He tried to pass it back to the midfield, and the ball went literally 6 inches in front of his foot. And he just looked. He just stared down at the ball like, what just happened? And he had to double clutch and grab it back and try to pass again. Like, standing puddles, absolutely, but it was weird turf too. I feel like the actual surface was odd. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Very good. Yeah. So I mean, and not just that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's. I'm just really, really down on Brecht, and I really, like I said, if it's me, I'm starting Scotty at the 10 this weekend and letting Brecht see the bench.
And that could be good for him. That could be good for him.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And so Toronto comes to town Saturday to Bank of America. Minnesota United will come to town next Sunday to the Bank of America with a 6:00 kickoff.
That's really interesting to me. That's an interesting fixture.
And it's going to be the national game of the week. So it's going to be broadcasted on Fox at 6 p.m. on Sunday.
I'll tell you, we better have the Explore kit for that game, because their like Starry Night kit or whatever they call it, and our Explore kit were like the top 2 in MLS coming into the season of the new kits, and I would love to see that kit match up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously both are very good kits, and obviously I'm biased to the Explore kit, but so we got 2 home games coming up, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
Wasn't Minnesota United's new coach from Manchester United? Wasn't he like an assistant coach with Man U?
To be completely honest with you, I have no idea. I know they hired their coach super like late on.
Yeah.
Almost like the week of the season, or maybe even on into the season. I
just
remember
and they were
being very late.
They were winning without him with their interim coach too. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm very excited. I think it's a sneaky good matchup, and I would urge Charlotte fans, like, don't sleep on that game. Just because we don't play Minnesota very often, I think it's a very interesting matchup. It's going to look very pretty on the field. It's a Sunday evening game at the Bank, so you know it's going to be good. I'm excited about that one. This Toronto game, I'm not super stoked about. That that Golazo from Insigne, aka Italian Zac Efron. I'm not over it yet. That really, dude.
Good news. Insigne is not going to be playing in this game.
Good.
So
I won't have to look at that
he's not gonna
beautiful
be playing.
face.
Yeah, so this is a very good opportunity at home to get 3 points, and I think it's expected. Toronto sitting in 7th position on 10 points. You're in 9th with 8. So if you win this game, you're going to pass them in the standings. You're at home. They're missing their best player. You really controlled the game up at their place a few weeks ago. So I think this is a game that Charlotte should be expected to win. But yeah, moving on from Charlotte FC to Charlotte Independence. So what happened here recently with the Independence, Luke?
Yeah, so they actually had a game canceled this week with Chattanooga. We talked about their U.S. Open Cup Round 2 victory over South Carolina Heat, and that was a weird game because they had no shots on target throughout the actual game before going into penalties. So a very odd situation where you end up winning a game with no shots on target. But I'll take it. They advance in the U.S. Open Cup, survive in advance. I told that to Coach Jeffries after the game. I said, "Hey, not a pretty performance, but you survived and you make it to the next round." And I said, "How are you going to rebound?" Because I mean, that's 120 minutes and PKs and the frustration, and it's a weird weeknight game, a Tuesday night game. Like, what are you going to do? And he goes, "Well, good news. Chattanooga canceled our game. They couldn't find a venue, apparently. Their home venue was not ready. There's been a lot of questions about their ownership in USL 1. I'm doubting that they're a serious franchise. I think they may fold at some point in the next year or two, and I would hate to see that. I think Chattanooga has an MLS Next Pro side, so they'll still have a local soccer team if this franchise does fold. But it sucks because you could have rescheduled the game to be played at Charlotte. You could have given us the chance. It would have been a Chattanooga home game on paper played at Charlotte. You could do that. They do that in college football every year. That happens. You could find another venue in Chattanooga or the surrounding area or Knoxville or Nashville or Asheville or anywhere else. Like, you could play another game, find somewhere to play, and they chose not to do that. I'm a little frustrated because USL 1 deserves better than these franchises that are going to half-ass it. Charlotte Independence deserves a lot of credit for the amount of effort that's gone into staying in the market, for continuing on and persevering throughout the challenge of an MLS expansion franchise opening in their backyard. That does not happen. You saw San Diego Loyal fold as soon as the San Diego MLS team was announced. And Charlotte Independence is still here after 10 years. So I'm a little disappointed in Chattanooga, but it gave our guys, the Jacks got 10 days of rest coming into this game on Friday against Greenville. And this is Pups at the Park. It's Hate Greenville Night or whatever they're calling it. They had an April Fool's Day special where they were offering as low as $1 tickets to get into the park. They have a special swag bag package of tickets that they're selling. They're really trying to get a lot of attendance for this Friday night game. I am so excited. I'm inviting friends. There's going to be food for everybody. There's going to be a lot of beverages flowing. And we're going to show up for the Jacks, man, on a Friday night. I'm so excited, man. And if you guys have not been to American Legion Memorial Stadium, I'll say it again. The view is one of the best in Charlotte. You got the skyline in the background. The buildings are lit up. It looks beautiful as the sun is setting on a Friday night. The weather's going to be fantastic. You got to get out and support our Jacks against Greenville.
Yeah, and speaking of the Triumph, they played this past weekend. They did play against the Northern Colorado Hellstorm. This was Star Wars night. Yeah, this was Star Wars night in Greenville. And my son, his whole entire soccer club got to go, got to be on the front row and watch this game. After the game, got to shake players' hands. My son was ecstatic. He got to shake Jamie Smith's hand. They come out 3-1 winners, which takes them top of the table in USL League One, sitting on 10 points. Liam McKinnon scores a brace with a 9.1 rating.
Let's go.
Leo Castro adds to his goal this season with another goal, and realistically, Triumph dominated this game. It was just pure domination. So from a Greenville perspective, coming into this match, they're flying high. They're unbeaten this season. They're also into the next round of the Open Cup. They have yet to lose, so this is going to be a big game. And it's always big when you're playing the whatever you want to call it, the 85 Derby, I-85 Derby, the whatever you want to call it. This is a big game. So from a Greenville Triumph perspective, like he said, tickets are cheap. It's only an hour and a half drive from Greenville. Pack your dog up in the car, head on up there, wear your Greenville stuff, and show some support for the Triumph. Let the independents know that you're there. And I expect a very, very good game. And I just wish I wasn't. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss everything this weekend. I'm going to be at the fire department Friday and Saturday, so I'm going to miss this game plus the Charlotte FC game. So
no,
it's the worst of the worst for me.
Oh man,
yeah, I'm very, very excited about this game. I will be watching, obviously, and yeah, I mean I'm super, super excited about this matchup as well. So before we get out of here, Luke, you got anything else you want to talk about, brother?
Yeah, man. I'd just like to introduce, if we have the time here, a sponsorship for the show. The sponsorship comes from a company you may be familiar with called Level Up Home Consultants. Hey, you're Level Up Luke. That sounds pretty familiar. Well, yeah, I'm called Level Up Luke because that is the name of the company that I started about 8 years ago. And we provide all sorts of real estate services for folks in North and South Carolina, residential buying and selling of homes, land, investments, remodels, flips, property management, you name it, we do it. And if we don't, we can point you in the right direction. So if you have any real estate questions, check us out at leveluphc.com. That's Level Up Home Consultants, leveluphc.com. Or, just hit me up in the DMs, and happy to assist in any way I can. And that helps me provide for my family and support this podcast. And, let's, find you the perfect next home.
Not to mention, we also have another new sponsor of the show.
Let's go.
SeatGeek. If you're looking for any tickets to any event, whether it be Charlotte FC, whether it be the Charlotte Hornets, whether it be a concert, whatever it may be, to SeatGeek for your tickets, use our promo code of QCSPod. You'll get $20 off of those tickets. Ooh. So any event there is, you go to SeatGeek, puss out, QCS Pod, get that $20 off. And that's another way to support the show, and we really appreciate it.
So you're telling me if I want to go see the Carolina Hurricanes and watch some NHL hockey, I can go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code QCSPod to get $20 off my ticket?
That's the only place to go. From here on out, It's SeatGeek. We go to SeatGeek for all events. Me and my wife are going to the Atlanta Braves game on Wednesday. Guess what we got? We used SeatGeek.
SeatGeek.
And we used the promo code QCSPod and got our $20 off.
Let's go. So you're saying I could hypothetically open a new account under a different email address using a different credit card and use promo code QCSPod to save $20 off of the Celtic versus Manchester City friendly from UNC Stadium in Chapel Hill this summer.
As long as there's tickets on SeatGeek, you got it.
And I think they have tickets to everything. That's what I heard at SeatGeek.com using promo code QCSPod. Oh, that's fantastic.
That's the word on the street.
I'm excited about that. I haven't gotten a chance to shill for something in a long time. Despite the haters saying that I'm an MLS shill, I almost ratioed Andrew Wiebe today on his extra time mailbag post. That was pretty hilarious. Hey, why do you guys have to schedule 12 games at the same time? As an MLS fan, can I watch some other MLS games, please? I mean...
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that? I did want to kind of touch on that because I seen your tweet, and what's funny about that is I've heard Apple pundits on various different shows Talk about how good that. Oh man, we got 12 games at 7:30. It's unprecedented. MLS 360. Da, da, da. Look, man, I'm sorry, but if I'm a Real Salt Lake fan and playing at 7:30, I'm not going to be watching MLS 360, bro. I'm going to be watching Real Salt Lake. If I'm a Charlotte FC fan, I'm going to be watching Charlotte FC. I'm not going to be watching MLS 360. I don't understand why they do not stagger these games more than they do. It is mind-boggling. Have a couple of games on a Sunday. Have a game at 5, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 7. Have your most. If you want to have the majority of your games at 7:30, by all means. But stagger them out. So, dude, LA Galaxy look unreal this year, man.
Yeah.
And you don't even get to watch them.
El Trafico, man. I wanted to watch it. Like, that was the game of the week.
Yeah. It don't make any sense to me, but so I agree with you in your tweet. It don't make it. It's just, I mean, I don't. I know they're trying to push this MLS 360 thing, and I get it. I do like the concept, and I do like MLS 360, but when all the games are played at the same time, it's ridiculous.
Honestly, if it's not Scott Hansen with NFL Red Zone, then completely miss me with that idea. Like, do it right, or give us like staggered schedules so we can actually watch the whole games. And even if you give me a good MLS Red Zone or whatever you want to call it, like, well, I don't know. Lloyd Sam could think of a good name for it. I know he could. I was listening to him on the broadcast. I actually watched the game from home for once instead of a watch party, so I got to hear our boy Lloyd Sam on the commentary track. And man, I was laughing a few times in there. I miss him and Eric being together. Those are our boys. Anyway, Apple, you know. Slide in the DMs, man. I got ideas. They're very basic ones. It's nothing original here, but we'll help you out.
It'll definitely help your ratings out, that's for sure.
Generation Adidas Cup. The U17s finished off with a win on Sunday. Cole, you got anything else, man?
Nah, man, I'm good. I'm just, like I said, I'm excited for this Saturday, and hopefully I'm excited for Friday, and hopefully this Saturday Charlotte can get 3 points at home.
Man, like I said, I'm not excited about Toronto. Just something about them. It doesn't get me going, but what does get me going is that game day atmosphere. So I will see you guys at the bank. Cole, we'll see you next week for Minnesota. Until then, it is for the crown, and
together we triumph.
Give us like a Scott Hansen NFL Red Zone. 9 hours of uninterrupted soccer starts now.